Good afternoon. Welcome to All Saints Episcopal Church in the beautiful city of Indianapolis. My name is Mother Andrea Arsene, and I'm the rector here, and I'm delighted to see each one of you. A few housekeeping things. If you need to use the facilities to take care of personal business, please go out the door to my right, your left. If you go downstairs, there's the large, beautiful, non-gendered restrooms. Upstairs are the smaller ones that are gendered. After our first session together, we have a reception with delicious homemade goods in the back and something wonderful to drink. That will be followed by a mass from Pauli Murray, where we will hear one of her sermons delivered to us, again from a person from our own congregation here. I'd like to tell you a little bit about our keynote speaker, the Reverend Canon Mon'nique Ellison. She serves as the Canon Vicar at Christ Church Cathedral on the Circle. She's a senior associate responsible for working with ministry leaders, overseeing clergy and program staff, and working to integrate mission and ministry of the cathedral in daily practices. She has more than 20 years of ministry and developed a passion for preaching and mentoring other preachers that is nationally recognized. Community organization is a foundational spiritual practice for her, being a way to seek and serve Christ in others and to strive for justice and peace among all people. She's married to Katrina and shares with her a daughter, Octavia. Would you join me in welcoming the Reverend Canon Vicar Mon'nique Ellison?
Who know more about Pauli Murray than I do. I was 20-something years ago, oh wow, a junior, my first year in seminary before I heard anything about Pauli Murray. And then I, later in my career, went on to serve in the Diocese of Maryland, you know where Baltimore is, and where she had served. And I even worshiped in the congregation where she had served as vicar. And all over Baltimore and all over Maryland, as well as all over the United States, there were people who had never heard of Pauli Murray. So now I'm kind of on a mission to learn more about her myself and to make sure that others know about Pauli Murray. But there's a few things that like agreements that we're going to need to make in talking about this great person, this beloved of God, this saint. There isn't quite consensus on what to do about Pauli Murray's gender identity. There's evidence that Murray sought medical investigation about a sense of maleness, even though she was identified at birth as female. Murray was in a long-term relationship with a woman, and before that had been married to a man. Murray didn't have the culture in the culture of early and middle 20th century even a notion of acceptance of gender nonconformity. So I'm not quite ready to use male pronouns for somebody who didn't have that choice. And I'm not sure if Pauli Murray would have chosen neutral pronouns if given the choice. Murray used feminine pronouns because that is what there was. So what I'm going to do, and it's not optimal, but it's what we have, is I'm going to call Pauli Murray. I will probably slip and say she, but not out of a sense of disrespect, but because that's what Pauli Murray had. So that maybe not on purpose, but that's probably going to happen some. Also, a full biography of Pauli Murray is too much for one presentation. I'm not going to be able to say everything about this person. But just some things that we should know is that Pauli Murray accomplished many firsts. We hear all the time about lunch counter sit-ins in the 1960s. But Pauli Murray and some of her classmates at Howard desegregated lunch counters in Washington, D.C., using sit-ins as a strategy in 1943. Remember Rosa Parks, right? Refusing to move to the back of the bus in 1955? Refused to go to the back of the bus. Worldwide recognition for that act of defiance. Well, Pauli Murray refused to go to the back of the bus in Virginia in 1940. 30-some years before Rosa Parks. The design for dismantling Jim Crow, Thurgood Marshall gets all this credit, but the design was Pauli Murray's. In law school at Howard, said to classmates who did not really want her there, but because she was the smartest person in the class, they let her sit in on some conversations where she said, "We can dismantle Jim Crow in 30 years using the strategy of separate is not equal." And that was the argument that dismantled segregation in the United States, or started to. Pauli Murray fought to be in all of these places because this very smart person knew that they possessed the capacity to be in all of these places and wanted to take everyone else along because everyone belongs. Why? This was constant sacrificial acts, activism, work, study, speaking, all the time. From being a lawyer to being an educator to being a priest, all the time striving for the inclusion of all people. Why? I think the reason is love. Pauli Murray's mother died when Murray was young, and being unable to care for 6 children on his own, Murray's father sent them to live with different relatives, and Murray landed in Durham, North Carolina with Aunt Pauline. Later, Pauli Murray's father died in a mental institution of racism. He died of racism. And the only memories of Pauli Murray's family that she had came from relatives. When I was a small child, she says in her autobiography, Murray says in her autobiography, "When I was a small child, I pestered my elders with endless questions about Will and Agnes Murray and fed voraciously on the remembrances of others to fill the void of their physical absence. Their mystical nearness, especially during my earliest years, blurred the mystery of separation between the living and the dead as they came alive in my imagination. Stories of my mother and father, always told in love with an undertone of sadness, had a remarkable influence on my development. Their striving to achieve filled me with pride and incentive, while their misfortunes left a legacy of mournfulness hovering like a gray mist over my early childhood. From a realm beyond my senses, they both inspired and gave me my first stern lessons in the meaning of adversity." Pauli Murray was someone who knew adversity, yet still. Pauli Murray wanted to be like these 2 people who gave her life, whose faces she barely remembered, and their inspiration came with adversity too. Murray loved them, loved God's people, and wanted to love self. But by being part of all of these marginalized categories and having a sense of being in a body that doesn't fit, this, I think, led to a desire. This is the motivation for all this work, sacrifice, for the good of God's people. Pauli Murray loved the people who gave her life, but also and didn't know them very well, but also wanted to be like them. As an example, Pauli Murray's father was an aspiring writer and poet, and never lived to see that desire come to fruition. But Pauli Murray spent a lot of time writing. Has anybody read the autobiography, Pauli Murray's autobiography? The size of that thing. Oh my gosh. So many words. Thank goodness to capture all of this life. And Pauli Murray wanted to be a poet. And we have left some poetry in Dark Testament. And I'm going to share only one poem, and we're going to spend some time. There's a way of doing Bible study that a preaching group that I am a part of, yes, please, thank you, we use for Bible study. We read a thing 3 times. Oh, you're probably going to need more than. I'll start at the back. We read a passage of Scripture 3 times. And each time we answer a question. I'm going to let you have those, and I'll take this one. We ask 3 questions, 1 question after each time we read. And we're going to do that exercise together with this poem, Love's More Enduring Uses. Love's More Enduring Uses. I love that title, just the title already. What are the uses of love? So I'm going to read the Love's More Enduring Uses first, and you'll be listening for a word or phrase or image that catches your attention. A word or phrase or image that catches your attention. And then for just a few minutes, I'll give some time for anyone who would like to share what they heard. And then the second time, we'll be listening for what questions would you ask Pauli Murray about this poem? What would you ask? What are you curious about? What do you wonder was in Pauli Murray's mind? And then the third time, what do you feel or believe after reading this poem or hearing about Pauli Murray's life, or what you already know about Pauli Murray's life? And then we'll spend a little bit of time about what are you willing to do for the sake of love? Pauli Murray did a lot for the sake of love, took a lot of risks. What are you willing to risk? What are you willing to do for the sake of love? Okay. Here we go. What word, phrase, or image catches your attention? Round and round I've paced these walls of sorrow, seeking some pitying ray of light. This darkness presses heavily upon my mind. Oh, I am weary of eternal night. I would be off again, heaven-bent, to catch the arrows of the sun, bruise my wings on tips of stars, ranks of snowy clouds outrun. But love, alas, holds me captive here, consigned to sacrificial flame, to burn and find no heart's surcease until its more enduring uses I may learn. what word, phrase, image comes to you reading this poem the first time? And you don't even have to give an explanation. Yes? Mm-hmm. Being in two places at one time. Juxtaposition. Yeah. Thank you. Yes? Being weary of eternal life. Being weary of eternal night. Yes. Yeah. Heaven bent. Mm-hmm. Yes.
The love holding him captive there.
Being held captive by love. Yes.
I get a feeling of like a sorrowful longing.
Sorrowful longing. Pitying. Pitying ray of light. Thank you all. I'm going to read it a second time. And this time, listen for what questions you would ask Pauli Murray about this poem. Round and round I've paced these walls of sorrow, seeking some pitying ray of light. This darkness presses heavily upon my mind. Oh, I am weary of eternal night. I would be off again, heaven bent, to catch the arrows of the sun, bruise my wings on tips of stars, ranks of snowy clouds outrun. But love, alas, holds me captive here, consigned to sacrificial flame to burn, and find no heart's surcease until its more enduring uses I may learn. What questions would you ask Pauli Murray? Yes.
I would ask if it was about self-love or love from the community or someone else.
Yeah. Is this poem about self-love or love from a community or someone else? Yes, Mark. Right. What was Pauli Murray going through when composing this poem? Yes. Oh, what helped you know you had wings? Yes.
I would wonder and ask her about when she says, I would be off again. So there's some place in her mind or some place that she has been before.
Yes.
And that is the preferred place. But it is love, whatever that love is, that's holding her down, that is binding her to this place.
Yeah.
I would ask her.
Yeah. You'd ask about what is this place that she's been before and what's holding her back. Did I get that right? Yeah. Love, alas, holds me captive here, consigned to sacrificial flame. Why would anyone hang in there in this sacrificial flame to learn the more enduring uses of love? Why would anybody do that? Yeah. Yes, Claudia.
Think about her is growing up knowing another very accomplished woman like her.
Mm-hmm.
And every time I read about her, I think, did she know that there were other people just like her?
Did she know?
I don't mean, the questions. I mean, did she know that there were people who were very accomplished, but also had kind of a hole in their heart as to what they really were?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And no one to talk about it with.
Right. Right. Did Pauli Murray know that there were others like her, accomplished people who also had this longing, this hole in the heart, knowing that there was something else, something more? There's reading some of Pauli Murray's journals, there is a depression and melancholy, confusion about identity, not feeling like being somebody who fits in easily, but still standing up to the powers that be. Anyone else? Yes.
I wonder what else she wants to learn.
Mm-hmm.
She's not ready to stop yet, despite the pain.
Yeah.
What else could I?
Right. What else could I learn? Yeah. Yes.
This reminds, seeing I read a lot of Shakespeare ahead, this reminds me a lot of the Scottish play and the darkness of, or the heaviness of making a decision or a heart choosing a decision to make it right or wrong or feel wrong or something. Because it's the only other time that I've seen the word surcease was in, heard the word in Macbeth. So that's that, and then the pacing and the sorrow, as we remember tomorrow, there's that imagery, so I wonder if she had, obviously she read a lot of Shakespeare,
Right.
because she was so very learned.
Mm-hmm.
But the darkness, the heaviness of what decision to make, and was feeling whether there was a right or wrong in it.
Yeah.
That's heavy.
Mm-hmm.
And round and round and round. And that's the words that stuck with me, because we all know that you go around and around, you walk around and around.
Yeah. Yep. The thank you for giving an opportunity to say that Pauli Murray was a precocious child who spent a lot of time with books on the floor, in front of the fireplace, on her belly, reading. And so it just figures that Pauli Murray would find a way to use the word surcease in a poem. I'm going to read this one more time, and then while you're listening, think about, let yourself develop a sense of what you feel or believe after reading not just about Pauli Murray, but about maybe yourself or about the world or how we as people of faith are supposed to navigate in this world right now. Round and round, I've paced these walls of sorrow, seeking some pitying ray of light. This darkness presses heavily upon my mind. Oh, I am weary of eternal night. I would be off again, heaven bent, to catch the arrows of the sun, bruise my wings on tips of stars, ranks of snowy clouds outrun. But love, alas, holds me captive here, consigned to sacrificial flame to burn, and find no heart's surcease until its more enduring uses I may learn. What do you believe now? How do you feel? Yes.
I feel and believe that it's okay to be confused about your gender and your identity, even if you have like restrictions either from yourself or like people around your community. It's okay to feel different in whatever like body you were born in. It's okay to feel like you're someone else.
Yes. It is okay to feel okay in your body, even if it's different. Thank you. Yes. Yeah.
And I do sort of wonder if this like feeling like a sacrificial flame is like a representation of duty that we have to people to like try and make things better for the people around us, even if it is doing bad things to us.
Right. The belief that being the sacrificial flame, even though being sacrificial is something that we are, would duty bound be a good way to put that? We have a duty. Not to editorialize what you're thinking or feeling, but there's a reason that the sign of the Holy Spirit is a flame. Anyone else? Yes.
It just reminds me of a person like Pauli Murray with the many faces that she was, depending on what situation she was.
Right.
And when you read, for when she was with Eleanor Roosevelt, she had one face.
Mm-hmm.
She was Thurgood Marshall, she had a different face. She was civil rights lawyer, different face. So many faces to juggle
Mm-hmm.
to be effective. And the pain in this poem makes me think about, we talk about going home to places like Howard University,
Mm-hmm.
where that face is where you're at home, and I just had that here, like Kamala Harris
Right.
said, I come home when I get to Howard.
Mm-hmm.
In the 1940s, she wouldn't have even been home.
Right. Yep. Yes. She would, right. Because especially in the law school, right? No women in the law school, right?
Just at the school.
Yeah. Ah, yes. Right. The to accomplish what Pauli Murray accomplished, there are many faces, depending on where she is. But having a place to call home. And for many people now, Howard University, many people of color, Howard University would be home. It's a place to be yourself. Wherever it is that you can be yourself is home. But Pauli Murray didn't even really have that.
Many of my relatives were there during her time.
Uh-huh.
I know from them, she would not have been home.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. Yes.
Difference is that in that, as an HBCU graduate,
Mm-hmm.
and knowing what the rest of my prior life was like, in choosing to go to a high school that was all women and 90% white.
Mm.
Thank goodness for my dad,
Yeah.
who said, that's fine, and academically that's fine, but you need to go someplace where you can be yourself.
Mm-hmm.
And with all the problems that Howard had at that time, a lot of the problems everybody who was there was going through.
Yeah. Yep.
So it wasn't that different. And she was probably very quiet about being gay.
All right. Yeah. Yeah.
Because there were plenty
Plen-
of people there who were.
Right. Okay.
But she was quiet.
Yes. Like probably most everybody else. Home is a complicated place. Home is a complicated place because you try to be It's supposed to be a place you can be yourself. But sometimes, you go home and you try to be yourself, and it's very uncomfortable for everybody else. So there's a lot of striving to just figure out how to be. And I think that Pauli Murray spent a lot of energy trying to figure out, right down to going to the doctor and saying, could you check and see what my internal reproductive organs really are? Because this doesn't seem right. Always striving to just find out where to fit, how to fit in the places where we are. And still modeling for others love. This poem is about I'm sure there's the less enduring uses for love, but the examination here is about love's more enduring uses. Love is a good thing. Even though consigned to sacrificial flame to burn and find no heart's surcease until its more enduring uses I may learn. We are still learning. And Pauli Murray continued to learn, going to General Seminary late in life, and after several careers, let's face it, and taking that place, home, the first black woman to be ordained in the Episcopal Church, and to preach in to take the pulpit in order to teach others how to love. If you ever get a chance to go to Baltimore, go to Holy Nativity Pimlico, where Pauli Murray served as vicar. It is a sweet little place. They gave up their great big gigantic, beautiful Gothic stone church and moved into an auto supply store. And it is a tiny little beautiful place that is still has decided not to leave a neighborhood that is struggling, so they could be a light in a place where the kids need to be loved. It's just one example of what happens at Holy Nativity Pimlico. But we're going to, in a little while, we're going to hear one of Pauli Murray's sermons. But in that sermon, we will hear said, pointing to us in the direction of love as a verb, not a noun. We are not commanded to like everyone with whom we come into contact. What is required of us is not admiration, approval, or even personal affection, but caring, empathy, seeking to understand, identifying with one another's common humanity, and being concerned for another's well-being as if it were our own. In this sense, the command is absolute. We are not free to choose those who we accept and those who we reject. Every other human being is our neighbor. So, Pauli Murray has left us with the question. If we know who our neighbor is, what are we going to do about it? What are you willing to do or risk for your neighbor right now, in a time when so many of our neighbors are struggling? Consigned to sacrificial flame, to burn and find no heart's surcease until its more enduring uses I may learn. What are you willing to do or risk for the sake of love? It's kind of a rhetorical question, but it's not really a rhetorical question. So, early this morning, there was another shooting on Monument Circle. You heard. Yeah. 2 people died. Christ Church Cathedral is going to lead a litany of lament, starting at the cathedral at noon. If you can come to that as a witness against gun violence, that would be great. There are organizations all over this city that want to hold our leaders accountable for the ways that support for people who are poor, disabled, mentally ill, are just being dismantled and defunded. Find those people. Yeah.
You just said at noon. Didn't say at noon which day.
Tomorrow.
Okay, I thought so, but I missed that in clarification.
At noon tomorrow. Yep.
Well, at noon.
Yep. Yep. Find the people. Find the good guys, get in trouble, get in good trouble. But find your place. You don't have to do everything, but find something. Yeah. Thank you all.